Okay, so this is purely an initial reaction to Gout Gout's 19.67 200 to win the Australian Championships, and just a reaction to like some of the commentary online. I'm probably gonna do like a fully edited video tomorrow, maybe, but definitely I'm gonna go live on Tuesday and talk about this. But 19.67 seconds for Gout Gout, like I don't know. I think I opened up Twitter and I saw it again. This is like late last night, and I was like, wait. I'm honestly, the first reaction I had was like, yo, this can't be right. But then, the race finishes. It's like I'm listening to the commentary. It's like, nah, this is legit. 19.67 demolishes his personal best. Right? He hadn't even broken 20 seconds before. Now, I think there was a trend. 1967 is like very, very big, but we all knew that Gout Gout was on the path to potentially break the 20-second barrier. He had run 19.9 and 19.8 windy times, right? And I think the 19.8 was like plus 2.2 or, not drastically windy. So even my expectations were like, okay, he'll probably run a legal 19.8. I thought something along those lines were coming, especially after what he did in the heats where he looked very, very comfortable. But I was shocked at 19.67. And even more shocked at everything behind him, right? I don't have the results on me, but like second place running 19.88. You're talking about Peter Norman's, Australian record of 19.9 from all the way back in 1968. Two guys just got under that. And then of course the rest of the field, everybody set personal bests except the last place finisher. And I think that somebody was, didn't finish or did not start. Now, I also want to talk about like just very quickly why no one will actually ever be satisfied. But before I get to that, I'm very impressed. This obviously does on paper break the World U20 record that Ariane Knighton had set of 19.69 seconds, because it's 19.67 is ahead of that. Obviously, many people know that Ariane Knighton ran that 19.49 all the way back in 2022 at the LSU track, but that was never ratified, and couldn't be officially ratified as a World U20 record. So his 19.69 actually has stayed, and now Gout Gout surpasses that. I think and now it's like, I don't know. I guess I'm thinking about how tough it's going to be moving forward. For me, again, this like justifies the talent that Gout Gout has, and it starts to like further solidify those initial conversations back in 2024 around the idea of Gout Gout becoming the next Usain Bolt and all of that. But it also does now make it even tougher going forward, I think, for public perception. Now, for me, I'm still going to remain on my stance. And again, I'm going to do a fully edited video because, like, the idea of, like, the wind and, like, questions, like, I see all of that online. I think, well, actually, even before this. Obviously, you could tell I'm not editing anything. But Gout Gout in this race and everyone else setting personal best, what I suspect, and I think many people have been kind of, like, talking about this, is this was probably just the absolute perfect race. In the sense that when you're running a 200, there's going to be crosswinds when you're coming around the curve. There's going to be, wind on the, on the outside lanes that aren't going to be measured by the wind gauge. That's, on the inside of the track at the 100-meter mark or whatever it is. Like, it's going to be so different. What I suspect is this was an absolute perfectly run race with a perfect wind at the perfect moments, for Gout Gout and for everyone else, right? Coming around the curve, they probably had, a very favorable wind that was hitting them. And then as they came down the straight, that wind probably just like, rolled with them as well. They got a perfect 1.7 wind. I know earlier races were like wind aided. I know that there were some that were with a headwind. It was just swirling around, but probably at that moment, it was just absolutely perfect for all of them. Obviously, Gout Gout, he didn't get a great start, just like he normally does, but that second 100 meters was just like absolutely perfect across the board. But I think we can take that for what it is. And the track, from my understanding, was like brand new. So all those aspects, I think, just lead to this time being a perfect kind of quote unquote perfect time for Gout Gout and for everyone else. Now, getting back to the idea that I'm definitely keeping my stance that we have to look at Gout Gout in the long term, right? It's not about Gout Gout getting a gold medal at the World Champs in 2027 or 2028. Now, that could happen, but his plan and his strategy is for 2032, right? You're looking at the Olympic Games in Brisbane. You're talking about 2036. That's his kind of long-term strategy for him, his coach, his team, and his plan and his agent, all that. As an individual, I'm perfectly okay with that because I understand, not rushing an athlete. You can see an athlete burn out and all that stuff. But I think this 19.67 makes it so much harder for Gout Gout and the community and the conversation around him. Because coming out of 2024 and the top of 2025, when he was running these crazy fast times, that set the expectation that, like, okay, you are the next Usain Bolt. Then he goes through 2025. He runs a few races on the circuit, right? He runs that Continental Tour in Ostrava, beats out Reina Mena. He runs the U23 meet in Monaco, right? Those kind of conversations, specifically that Monaco race was like, oh, you're not even racing Letsile and Noah, who are running in the pro race. You get to the world champs and you only quote unquote make it to the semifinals, right? Like those conversations kind of took the aura away of like, oh, he's not living up to the next Bolt conversation, right? He's not living up to, all the performances that he was putting down. He even ran a few more fast races, between 2025 and at the top of 2026. But I think there was an aspect of like, you didn't meet the expectations that we had set around you. And like, when I say we, I mean like the public around, you got a medal at the world champs because you have all this hype behind you. So you didn't do that. We gonna step back a little bit. Now he gets back into the conversation and reinvigorates the idea that like, okay, let's jump back on because maybe you can actually live up to those Usain Bolt expectations. Now we got to see you deliver, but now we got to see you deliver very quickly, right? And that in this, I think too many people is going to mean medaling in 2027, medaling in 2028, medaling in 2029, right? I think that's what it's going to mean. Now, obviously, I think it would definitely be a disappointment, just me as a fan of like, wow, Gout Gout's running 19.6, and he, isn't in the conversation in 27, 28, 29. That's of course going to be like, oh man. But I also individually understand how long-term that's like their plan. So I think this performance running so fast at this moment is going to put even more pressure on Gout Gout to perform, like whether it's on these Diamond Leagues, but specifically at these World Championships or and the Olympic Games, or people are going to further fall back off or even more so and say like, nah, like you can't just be average at this point. You can't just be another athlete. Because even think about it, I know the comparisons aren't the greatest, but think about Ariane Knighton. I know he's banned, whatever, but like just think about the narrative around him during the time period from 2021 all the way to 2024, right? Even, again, outside of the ban, but like him getting fourth at the Olympics in 2021 and 2024. He got silver in 2023 and bronze in 2022. But people still didn't see that as enough. The idea was you are supposed to win the gold medal. You ran 19.49 seconds. You were, on the edge of beating out Noah Lyles. You said, nah, job's not done. And then you get the bronze medal, right? 2022 at USA's, right? You consistently run, like Ariane was very consistent, running 19.6, 19.7, 19.8 on the circuit, but you didn't get the gold medal. I think there's going to be and you were the young prodigy, the next one up. I think there's going to be a conversation around that for Gout Gout, right? And again, this 19.67, it further pushes that conversation up, right? I don't think people, and I think everyone is right to feel how they want to feel, but I don't think people are going to give him as much grace as potentially should be afforded to an athlete. I'm always going to go back to it. Usain Bolt, he came out guns blazing in 2002, 2003, 2004 as well, when he ran the world junior record 19.9, and then he got injured at the he got injured that season, didn't make it out the heats at the Olympic Games. He didn't, not to say he didn't do anything, but like he was not Usain Bolt until 2007, 2008, right? Like he was not that young prodigy that everyone knew. I know this 19.67 just makes it very tough. Again, I am very impressed. I will obviously be honest, I definitely was like, I have my questions, but I'm maybe a little settling into the idea that like, okay, this was just a perfect race. Like the wind in a 200-meter race is like, you cannot take wind at a single moment. There's wind all across the entire race that's going to affect the athletes in various different capacities. And when you just like get, you hit something perfect, that, I don't know, the athletes are going to run with it, and they just really took advantage of it. But I'd be lying if I didn't have my questions. And I know, I know like there'll be conversation around it forever. But I'll be interested to see like how he does fare going for the rest of the year. I think he's going to be running at Prefontaine. I know he's going to be at some other races as well. And then, of course, he'll be at World U20s. That's another conversation of like, oh, he shouldn't be at World U20s because like he should be, running at Commonwealth Games or at the Senior Champs. Maybe. I mean, I don't know. Everyone's going to have their own opinion. But man, I don't know. 1967 is crazy. It's crazy. Man, it's crazy. I don't know, man. I'm thinking about, obviously you have all these top athletes, throughout history. And now in this like current conversation of the men's 200, that surpasses Andre DeGrasse, right? Again, I don't have the numbers off the top of my head, but like that surpasses Andre DeGrasse with his 19.68 to win gold at the Olympic Games. That puts him in the realm of, what's his name? Brian Lavelle, who ran 19 point, well, actually better than, well, no, I'm sorry. Brian Lavelle ran 19.64, right? So just in the realm of Brian Lavelle. So, man, it's crazy. It's crazy. But I'll end off saying this because amazing performance, obviously tons of questions, et cetera, et cetera. I'm going to do a fully edited video, but I will say, as I said, I'm looking for the long term. I am also looking for the consistency. I feel like I tend to say this a lot with athletes. I want to see consistency across the board. So you run 19.67. Can you run 19.7? Can you run 19.8 consistently, right? This is the first time that he's breaking the 20-second barrier. I was looking, shout out to Nat. I think I saw the stats. It was like Xavier Carter and like Walter Dix and all them, like Rainer Mena and what's his name? Clarence Munyai. Like they had run 19.6 for the first time as their first time breaking the 20-second barrier was when they ran 19.6. So Gout Gout joins that conversation. But man, this is going to be a lot of pressure. So no edits. Again, I'm going to probably do another video and I'm going to go live on Tuesday to talk about it. This is crazy, man. It's crazy. Let me know what you think. Appreciate y'all.